Have you ever found yourself trying to convince someone to stay in your life? Whether it's in a relationship, friendship, or any other bond, we've all been there grasping for validation, hoping that if we try harder or say the right words, the other person will see our worth. But what if I told you that ancient Stoic philosophy teaches us something radically different? What if the best response is not convincing them to stay at all? In today's video, we'll explore what the Stoics would advise you to do instead, based on timeless wisdom that can free you from unnecessary emotional suffering. Welcome to Stoic Mindset. Let's dive into the Stoic way to handle this. Life is filled with relationships, and the natural desire to belong often leads us to do almost anything to keep someone close. But the Stoics, known for their profound insight into human nature, had a different take on attachment and loss. They believed that trying to convince someone to stay with you, especially when their heart or mind is elsewhere, is not just futile, but goes against the very principles of living in harmony with nature. In today's video on Stoic Mindset, we unpack why convincing someone to be with you is a mistake, and more importantly, what you should do instead. Drawing on the wisdom of figures like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, we'll explore a perspective that's both empowering and liberating. Stick around till the end, because what you learn today could transform not only how you view relationships, but how you approach life itself. 1. The Stoic understanding of relationships. To fully grasp why the Stoics advised against trying to convince someone to stay, we need to first understand how they viewed relationships. For the Stoics, relationships, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, are external to us. This might seem counterintuitive, as modern society places a lot of value on the connections we form. But in Stoicism, only our inner world, our thoughts, judgments, and actions are truly within our control. As Epictetus famously said, some things are in our control and others are not. The things in our control are our opinions, pursuits, desires, and aversions. In short, whatever are our own actions. The things not in our control are our body, property, reputation, and in one word, whatever are not our own actions. The decision of another person to be in your life is entirely out of your control. Trying to convince them otherwise not only denies this reality, but also creates unnecessary suffering. The more you try to control what is uncontrollable, the more frustrated you become. 2. Why you shouldn't convince someone to stay. Convincing someone to stay in your life is an act that comes from insecurity, fear, and attachment. It signals a desire to control the uncontrollable, something that the Stoics were deeply critical of. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the transient nature of life and relationships. He understood that everything is subject to change, and trying to hold on too tightly only leads to suffering. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is to live according to nature, which means accepting the flow of life as it is. This includes understanding that people will come and go. As Seneca once wrote, "The wise man will live as long as he ought, not as long as he ought, not as long as he can." 3. The power of letting go. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is the art of letting go. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring or that the relationship was meaningless. It means you recognize that trying to force someone to be in your life is unnatural and contrary to the principles of Stoicism. The ability to let go and accept reality without resistance is a hallmark of true Stoic strength. As Epictetus said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well." Instead of focusing on convincing someone to stay, the Stoic approach would be to focus on what you can control: your own actions, emotions, and thoughts. Let go of the need to cling, and instead embrace what life brings. This act of letting go is not one of defeat, but of empowerment, allowing you to rise above emotional entanglements that lead to suffering. 4. The benefits of detachment. Detachment is often misunderstood as coldness or lack of emotion, but the Stoics practiced what's called apatheia, a serene acceptance of whatever happens. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions, but rather not being ruled by them. By practicing detachment, you're able to maintain emotional equilibrium even in the face of loss or rejection. When someone decides to leave, practicing detachment allows you to accept it without feeling like your world is falling apart. As Marcus Aurelius said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." This quote highlights the Stoic belief in appreciating what you have while you have it, without becoming attached to the idea that it must last forever. The act of detachment frees you to love more authentically because you're no longer grasping for control. 5. What to do instead? Focus on self-mastery. So, if you shouldn't convince someone to stay, what should you do instead? The Stoics would say that the answer lies in self-mastery. Instead of focusing outward on the actions or decisions of another person, focus inward, strengthen your own virtues, practice resilience, and cultivate inner peace. Epictetus once said, "He who is not happy with little will never be happy with much." This quote underscores the importance of self-sufficiency. If you rely on others for your happiness or sense of worth, you will always be at the mercy of external forces. But if you cultivate your inner self, your reason, your virtues, your ability to find joy in your own company, you will be unshakable. The more you invest in yourself, the less you will feel the need to convince anyone to be with you. Instead, you become someone who is worth being around, not out of desperation, but because of the strength and serenity you embody. 6. Negative visualization. One powerful Stoic exercise that can help you embrace this mindset is negative visualization. This involves imagining the loss of something or someone you hold dear, not to invite misfortune, but to prepare yourself mentally and emotionally. By visualizing the end of a relationship before it happens, you can lessen the blow and accept it more gracefully when it does. As Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By practicing negative visualization, you train your mind to accept the impermanence of life, including relationships. This helps you detach from the need to convince others to stay and instead allows you to embrace whatever happens with grace. 7. Final thoughts. Embracing freedom. In the end, the Stoic approach is all about freedom from the need to control others, freedom from the fear of rejection, and freedom from the emotional turmoil that comes from attachment. By letting go of the need to convince someone to stay in your life, you free yourself to live authentically and in harmony with nature. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Your happiness, peace, and fulfillment are within your control, and they do not depend on whether someone stays or leaves. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself and let others make their own choices. Thank you for watching today's episode of Stoic Mindset. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need this Stoic wisdom in their life. Stay resilient, stay strong, and remember, never convince anyone to stay. Instead, live in accordance with your true nature. This has been another episode from Stoic Mindset. Remember, the goal of Stoicism is not to avoid relationships or emotions, but to engage with them in a way that fosters inner peace and resilience. If you've enjoyed this journey into ancient wisdom, hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more Stoic insights to transform your life. Until next time, be well and keep practicing Stoic philosophy.